2015 has come to an end, which means it is time for me to list my top 5 favorite movies of 2015. Before I begin, I just want to say really quick, a really good friend of mine, Eric999, has already done his top 5 video. I recommend you go and check that out. It's really, really good. Um, I claim to be a movie lover myself, but this guy, he just takes it to a whole other level of appreciation. So really, go and check him out and check out that top 5 he did. So my top 5. Here's the deal. My top 5 is not going to be. My top 5 took some time to do. Now, I do have a couple ground rules. First and foremost, um, movies I had to have seen in theater. I was originally going to say that even considerable mentions I wasn't going to do what I'm going to do because there's a couple movies that I am going to throw in there just because. Um, they had to have been released in theaters this year, even if it was for a special event, and I'll explain why in just a minute. Again, my list, you might not agree with this list, but hey, that's my list. If you want to, you can do your own. So, without further ado, Black and Blue 19's top 5 favorite movies of 2015. So, kicking off this list, um, this one was a little. A lot of people aren't going to like this, but I actually saw this movie, and I'm going to count it because it was the biggest movie of the year. I actually saw it earlier in the week, but it's a 2015 release. You're not gonna like it, but my number 5 movie is gonna be Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Now, before you all get upset, please understand where I am coming from. I am a huge Star Wars fan. I'm not a mega fan. I don't really fully get into the book series and all the huge lore. I mean, I've played the Dungeons and Dragons game version of Star Wars, which is really cool, by the way, if you're into that kind of thing or any kind of variation of Star Wars meets RPG Maker. I recommend you check that out. I love the video games. I'm a huge fan of the movies. My phone just went off. But I do want to say that this movie was incredibly fun to watch. It was a good movie in general. However, as a Star Wars sequel, I'm kind of impartial to move it any higher on the list. I kind of want to see where the next couple of movies come into play. I, I got to go with my gut, I got to go with my gut. And my gut is saying it's a good 5 movie. And it did edge out a movie that was going to be my number 5, but I took it off the list. It is going to be considerable mention number 1, and that is Pixar's In and Out. Some of the best work Pixar has done easily. I'll be lying if I said I did not go into that movie and get choked up and even teared up at certain points of this movie. Pixar is an amazing, amazing film company. Disney pretty much has the monopoly on everything right now, but I highly recommend it. If you have not seen that movie, go and check it out. I saw it at a $1.50 theater, so it was worth that, and then some. The voice acting was spot on. The CG was incredible. Everything about it was just a really fun experience. It's a good coming of age movie. So number 4. Number 4, believe it or not, is going to be Jurassic World. Now, pump the brakes. A lot of people did not like this movie, but after really thinking about it, it's my top 4 for one simple thing, and it's the Jurassic Park movie that we've all been waiting for. It's basically the best thing since the very first Jurassic Park. Jurassic World was a phenomenal movie set in a futuristic time setting where we finally got the opening of Jurassic World, and it is canon with the rest of the movies. They made that very clearly known. Chris Pratt was the number one driving force for this whole movie. What is cooler than a raptor trainer, especially one who leads a series of raptors to fight larger dinosaurs? People will complain that the child acting, as well as the female co-lead, was not. They weren't supposed to be. It was supposed to be average people, and God forbid they don't have anyone in there who's really going for the Oscar. So, but it was a lot of fun from start to finish. I loved everything about the design of the park. I loved how they were talking about when they were making the Indominus Rex. the theory, the story behind it. Like again, Chris Pratt is an amazing actor. The park itself was phenomenal. Like the actual chaos of everyone escaping the park while like the dinosaurs were loose. That felt like real. And I haven't had that much fun watching a Jurassic Park movie in a very long time. So that is my number 4. Considerable mention number 2, and I wasn't gonna do this, but considerable mention number 2 is actually going to be The Breakfast Club. And I know some people are like, dude, that movie came out into the 80s. That is true. However, middle of this year, they did do a special anniversary release for it in theaters, and I went and saw it. And it's one thing to watch it on TV or watch it on DVD or Blu-ray, but it's another thing to actually be in the crowd in an actual theater watching this, like when it first came out. Now, since its original release came out in the 80s, I'm not supposed to, but for anybody who watches my videos, I don't play by the rules. I had a ton of fun watching it in theaters. I always end up watching it on TV, and everything is censored, so it was really nice to just watch the full thing from start to finish, uncensored, on the big screen, in a theater, soda, popcorn in hands, just having a good time. And it really was. Like, the theater was packed full of people. I mean, this clearly is like the classic. This is a vintage 80s movie without a doubt. So that is my honorable mention number 2. My top third movie, I was judging on 2 and 3. My number 1 was a definitive number 1. Okay, I saw the movie once, and I'm like, this is my number 1. My number 3 movie is Avengers: Age of Ultron. For some reason, people didn't like this movie. Like, I went and saw the movie. I had a blast. I saw it in IMAX, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Not just for the special effects, but just the movie itself was great. The biggest setback was the fact that Marvel does not have the rights to a couple of characters, aka Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, which is why those two characters in the movie you never really hear. They never really are given proper name, nor do they really make mention of their lineage to a certain X-Men character. So, however, the movie was awesome. I loved how they integrated Hawkeye into the main story. They actually gave him some more character. You know, they showed us his family. Um, the comic series behind Hawkeye is really cool and interesting. They did a death battle video not too long ago of Hawkeye and who he was, and I just thought he was like a throwaway, like humanish character, like not superhuman. But no, he's actually got some superhuman qualities, and it was really cool to see that. Jeremy Renner played an amazing Hawkeye. Captain America, Iron Man, always on point. Everything was just amazing in that movie. The Now, here's where people get divided. Ultron himself. James Spader as the voice of Ultron, I thought was amazing. If I could picture AI in the body of a robot whose main goal was to corrupt, manipulate, and take over, James Spader would probably be one of my top picks. It was very convincing. It was very, I almost want to say diabolical. Very, very intelligent. The movie was extremely fun to watch. And again, it added more and more to the Avengers lore. And again, at the very end, you see like the new Avengers, which we'll know more about in Captain America: Civil War. So, again, I love the first Avengers movie. I felt that this is probably right about the same as the first Avengers movie. I don't know which I like more. I'm kind of leaning on Age of Ultron only because it was a lot more fun. It was just a lot more enjoyable to watch. It was easier to really get into. Like, the team actually felt like it had a main reason to fight together. I didn't really feel like everyone was butting heads nearly as much as the first movie. But again, it was just a lot of fun, and I'm a sucker for Marvel movies. I'm such a comic book nerd. I love Marvel movies. The Vision, I felt, was done really, really well. They didn't make him as terribly overpowered as I thought he was going to be, but they did make a really good point about the Vision itself. And then, of course, we got the huge teaser with the Infinity Gauntlet at the very end of the movie. So, number 3, there you go. Honorable mention number 3 is actually going to be a movie I just recently watched on DVD. It was released The same day as 50 Shades of Grey in 2015. I believe it was right before Valentine's Day. And that would be honorable mention number 3 is going to be Kingsman, Secret Service. Now, I was thinking about putting this on my list and knocking off something else. So, but ultimately, I'm not huge on spy movies. I never was a huge James Bond fan. I never was a Jason Bourne type person. I couldn't get into the show 24. I've never really been a spy person. I love spy parody movies like Get Smart with Steve Carell. I thought was hilarious. But this was cool. It was like a spy movie that was aware it was a spy movie, and it didn't take itself overly serious. It really set itself in the realm of like, could this possibly happen? Samuel L. Jackson was the one reason I was very hesitant on seeing this movie because I feel like he's in everything. But he plays a very interesting villain that I wouldn't think he was that smart until I watched the movie, and I was like, this is really cool. But the movie is fantastic. It's definitely honorable mention number 3 for a reason. And I gotta tell you, there were a couple bits and pieces about it that I didn't really necessarily like. Um, and call me a prude or whatever you want. But I thought the very end payoff for him getting laid was kind of weak, considering the fact that we never really got. It kind of almost felt like he was going in the other direction with something with like one of the other females he was training with the whole time, but then it's like, oh, you saved me and you get it, you get some tail, and I'm just like, well, okay, I didn't really expect that, but still a fun movie nonetheless. If you haven't checked it out and you're into spy movies, go check it out. It was a lot of fun. Number 2, my number 2 pick, going back to number 2, and then we're gonna do number 1. See, we're going in order. Number 2, Ant-Man. Paul Rudd killed it. This was the movie I was not really expecting too much of it. I don't know much about Ant-Man. I might have heard a reference about him in Marvel Ultimate Alliance, but I've never read the comics. I don't know that much about him. Paul Rudd, like I said, he killed it as Scott Lang. The movie was phenomenal. It kept it to scale, but didn't go too over like with the Age of Ultron. And that was my biggest fear, was that I didn't want Marvel to feel like they needed to go above and beyond what they did in Ultron, like the end of the world urgency. However, they really did emphasize in this movie just how important it is that these Pym particles that are like making him like decrease dramatically in size and increase, and the skills he's learning and the ability to control with fellow ants. And by the way, that those scenes were amazing. And yes, a lot of people were like, "Oh, that looks stupid." Welcome to Marvel, where the impossible is probably going to happen. So it was just a lot of fun. Yellow Jacket, a lot of. I wavered on this because I'm like, Yellow Jacket felt like a very generic throwaway character, but at the same time, like, no, I would be the exact same thing. Imagine if you were the size of a thumbtack and you welded all this amazing power and you're basically hidden to the human eye. This guy wanted to weaponize it so he could take over the world, and Paul Rudd was like, not on my watch, dude. You don't know me. It was in there somewhere, probably. The fight scenes were awesome between him and Yellow Jacket. It was built in this grand scale of destruction, and ultimately it took place in some little kid's playroom where you just saw like things fall over. But when they when they zoomed in on the fight itself, you're watching explosions and things just tumbling to the ground and all these deep brooding sound effects. And then they back out to this kid who's just like sitting in a chair watching blocks fall over with like no major emphasis whatsoever. The movie was just so much fun to watch. It was enjoyable from beginning to end. The supporting cast was hilarious. Um, just it was awesome. It didn't take itself overly serious, which is what I enjoyed. Marvel knew what they were doing, and they knew that if they took it too seriously, it was going to hurt them. And yeah, I gotta say, I liked Ant-Man a little more than I liked Age of Ultron, only because I feel like those movies that end on that huge cliffhanger of, oh, the world can end. I mean, we're doing that quite a bit. It's toning it down a little bit. We're here. Number 1. I didn't have to think about this. 2 through 5, maybe a considerable mention or two, an honorable mention, a consider whatever. From any of those movies I mentioned, those can be changed at any given point. My list could possibly change next week for all I know, but this will be my number one movie of 2015. The Martian. That is right. For those of you who have not seen the movie, let me just set it up for you. A team of astronauts are basically studying Mars. They're just a normal expedition. They're then forced to abort the mission to go home. One of their specialists is thought left for dead. I'm sorry, is thought to be dead, so they're forced to leave the planet, otherwise everyone dies. He's not dead. He can't communicate with NASA. He can't communicate with his team. He then is able to patch himself up, assess the situation. Now I'll lay it out for you and watch it, and then I'll give my reason why I like it. The hab that his team was set to live in was only made to to sustain life for just over a month, with only enough food to last for X amount of days. He then decides he needs to find a way to get a hold of NASA, get a hold of his team, and basically survive long enough to either find a way home, wait for them to resupply him, or wait to get rescued. Now, this movie was so good it made me read the book. If they followed the book verbatim, it would have been a 2-part movie, which I would have been okay with, because there's a lot the movie left out that wasn't. There was a lot the movie left out that wasn't in the book. Let's just put it that way. But they condensed it in a smart way. Matt Damon played an amazing Mark Watney. He absolutely killed it. Jeff Daniels as Teddy Sanders, the chief administrator of NASA, he absolutely killed it. The supporting cast was incredible. His fellow teammate astronauts, they were all unique and special and humorous, and each contributed in their own special way. You really felt the weight of what was going on as you're watching this, and it was a 2.5-hour movie that I willingly sat through without not once looking at my phone to see what time it was. You're watching as a botanist from Earth who's stranded on Mars, left for dead, with no way to tell anybody that he's alive, try to survive long enough so he can find a way to overcome these odds. He's got to science everything out. It was amazing to watch from beginning to end, and you're right along with the ride. That is why this is my number one. It was the most captivating, enthralling, and I was the most invested in this movie from start to finish. Everything about it was fantastic. Ridley Scott absolutely killed it with this movie. I cannot wait for it to come out. It's actually coming out a couple of days after my birthday, so that'll be a nice treat to myself. But let me know what you think, guys. Again, if something... chances are it might not be your list. That's cool. You tell me what you think. That'd be awesome. And I'm obviously not going to put movies on here I haven't seen. I haven't seen The Revenant. I haven't seen Creed. I've heard both movies were insanely good movies, but I have not seen them, and I didn't want to wait too much longer to do this video. I just did watch Kingsman, and I found out that I can't put it on my list because I don't feel it to be top 5 worthy for me. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think right down in the comments below. If you like this stuff, feel free to subscribe, leave a comment, and guys, until next time, I will see y'all later.